What's your favorite Halloween movie? This is going to be really hard for you because you don't really watch horror movies.
I don't watch horror movies. Yeah.
Well, there are other movies that are Halloween-y.
I'm too much of a scared little baby to watch any horror movies.
Have you ever seen a single horror movie?
No.
Van Helsing was kind of horror.
It was horribly bad.
We watched that a couple times.
I mean, yeah, no, I've seen the trailers of horror movies and been absolutely terrified by them. We got to tell
this story.
I feel like everybody's probably heard this story by now, but we were in the movie theater.
What?
We were going to see Crazy Rich Asians.
Oh.
So the fact that a horror trailer
they did you
played
dirty.
In front of that movie
they really
absolutely boggles the mind. Yeah. But anyway, it was the trailer for The Nun.
Which is a horrible movie in itself.
Yeah. But at the very end of the trailer, it's a scene like they're
down a hallway.
The novice is coming down a hallway and there's a ghost nun coming down behind her, like scary. And you told me, you said,
I had seen this trailer before.
Yeah.
And I leaned over to her and I said, it's not going to be the nun the ghost behind her.
It's going to come from the side. It's going to be a jump scare. Because I knew
they did a little trickeration. Because of course it's not going to be. It
looks like it's going to be a jump scare from behind.
It comes from the side of the frame. It's an interesting jump scare. It is probably the best part of that movie.
Great jump scare. I knew it was coming. It happened. In the theater, I screamed out loud.
I've never heard you do that before.
And I broke in. I just got so hot. I've never been so hot in my life. I was absolutely burning up.
Fully activated your fight or flight.
Yes. I had to grab.
Adrenaline pumping.
You had bought a water bottle.
Yes.
I had to take his water bottle and hold it up to my head and my neck because I felt like I was going to burn out of my skin.
You had hives running.
I mean, I didn't have hives, but I literally felt like I was 1,000 degrees hot.
That's so crazy. I love that story.
Absolutely scared me to death.
I don't love the fact that you got scared, but I love this.
No, it was funny.
It's a great indicator because a lot of people will say oh, well, just give them another try, like horror movies. And then all you got to do is tell that story. You knew it was coming.
Yeah. I knew exactly what was going to happen.
I told you beat for beat. Okay,
you were almost like 3, 2, 1 jump scare.
Literally.
It still got me.
And you broke out into sweat.
Yeah.
And so that's the story that we tell.
Yeah.
But
I mean, any jump scare in any movie, even watching Van Helsing, which was an objectively horrible movie.
I think you screamed in that movie.
There was a jump scare in that. And I was like, I literally will say out loud, because you can tell when a jump scare is coming. I'll be like, jump scare. Jump scare.
Doesn't
jump
help.
Scare. Ah!
It doesn't help.
It gets me every time. It doesn't
You're just a jumpy person.
I'm just jumpy.
I scare you maybe twice a week.
Probably.
Because you got headphones on or you don't hear me coming in and I tap you or I say something to you and I mean, it's not like a terrifying thing, but it's still.
Yeah, no, I don't scream bloody murder every time like I did when I saw that trailer.
I'm not a horror movie aficionado. I've seen a lot of them. I don't love them.
Yeah.
You got to be in a very specific, I mean, I like them.
Yeah.
I will say, as I've gotten older and older, I've moved away from the horror. Like when I was college, early film school, I was like, anything and everything, nothing can shock me, whatever. I'm getting soft in my old age. Like some of these, I'm just like, dude, do we really need to see the guy get decapitated?
Yeah. I haven't even seen the one that John Krasinski did.
I wouldn't. What's that? Dead? What the hell?
Where they have to be quiet.
Silence? No. What is that called? I know exactly what you're talking
Quiet
about.
Place.
Quiet Place. There you go.
I haven't even seen that.
You didn't come see that with us in theaters?
No, I said no. I refused to go. I'm like,
It's a pretty good movie.
I don't want to scream out loud in the theater ever again. That was so embarrassing.
It's horror adjacent.
Yeah.
It is.
I might be able to be convinced to see that one because it's.
Well, there's some moments of tension there. They really do a good job of what I will say for the horror genre is we're in a little bit of a renaissance where the type of horror movies that I like are the ones that are directed by masters of tension. Mm-hmm. So it's not the Nun, for example, where it's 10 jump scares or I don't know, any of the what the heck's the name of the franchise? They just had a new one that came out. But there's all these, not Paranormal Activity, but it's one like that. Insidious. Any of that is just
Never heard of it.
Put them in a scary location and have ghosts jump out at them for 2 hours. It's like, dude, this is boring.
Yeah.
But
I agree.
Movies like Hereditary or TV shows like Haunting of Hill House, where tension is just Like
Yeah.
you're on the edge of your seat from start to finish.
Yeah.
Or I like really weird stuff. Like
Yeah.
there was some movie where she had her twin in the back of her head and
Like
it was like a
Voldemort.
demon possessed twin. God, that movie's so bad. But
Like
man,
that Harry Potter movie where
Basically.
Voldemort's in the back of his head.
basically. Or there's a French horror movie where she has a baby with a car or something like that. Yeah, there's a lot of weird.
Weird.
Anyway,
But yeah, I mean, I like movies with some tension, or like I like Stranger Things. That's not horror, but it's kind of
there's
some
horror,
of that
there's horror
element.
elements to it. That's the
Yeah.
thing is the horror genre is so broad.
Yeah.
Like it's so funny. We had a class in film school about genres. It was and we would walk in and watch horror movies, and the movie that our professor picked was a Holocaust movie. Very like horrific, right?
Horror.
But not something that you would think of as a horror movie for modern audiences. But we had a good discussion about how, yeah, like this is it's a
horror.
horrific movie.
Yeah.
It's shot in a way that is adjacent to the horror movies of the time. I think it came out in the 80s.
It has like some of the elements.
I mean,
yeah.
like tension
Interesting.
building. It's shot all in a medium. All
Interesting.
in a medium. It's really off-putting, like on purpose.
Weird.
Because obviously it's a Holocaust movie. And it's
Yeah,
about
sure.
like he was a guy that got in good with the SS officers. So he was like the lowest of the low to the Jewish people that were in the Holocaust. Because like, God forbid you side with our captors. But some people did that to try and survive. So you follow just him. Basically, you only see what he's seeing through his reaction. So it's a great performance. But man, yeah.
Interesting.
So horror, like that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's so broad. Like on one side you have Paranormal Activity or Final Destination, and on the other side you have movies like that where it's like all of these are horrific acts of humanity. How do we define their genre?
Yeah. I mean, going back to me watching Halloween movies,
Yeah.
I feel like I would have to pick like the original Halloween Town or like something
Yeah.
dinky like that.
What about
I
Hocus
do love,
Pocus?
Yeah, that one's okay.
I don't
think
get the
would-
hype.
Yeah, I don't
I
get
like
the hype
it.
either. It's a fine movie. I would probably rather watch the original Halloween Town just to go back to my Disney Channel
That
days.
movie's wild.
That's a hilarious movie.
for all the wrong reasons. I don't think it
also
holds
like-
up very well.
I don't think Edward Scissorhands is a Halloween movie, but
Oh,
like
no, you can count that.
I count that. He's got scissors for hands. That's
There's horror
pretty
elements in
Halloween-y.
that. Dude, you can do whatever you want.
yeah.
Nightmare Before Christmas. Love it.
Yeah, that's good. I
Could
have.
be a Christmas movie, could be a Halloween
I've
movie.
only seen that once or twice. I would like to watch it again.
The Great
probably. Charlie Brown.
Brown. There's another one.
I picked Charlie Brown.
Yeah,
I
you love Charlie Brown. That's a good one. I don't know. I have a lot of horror movies that I, like even in they're not specifically Halloween movies. Like Hereditary is probably my favorite, but it's not a Halloween movie. Like I'm
Yeah.
not itching to
It's just a horror movie.
break out the pumpkin spice latte and watch Hereditary. It's like I could watch that in April. You
Yeah.
know, like
Fair.
it's just a horror movie.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Like the original Halloween, Michael Myers, like that is a classic.
Okay.
I think you could handle that. It's old enough. It's old enough that it's like it crosses the threshold of like campy
Okay.
just because of what they had to do. Like
Yeah.
same thing with like Night of the Evil Dead. Like it's so campy and that you can tell that it's ketchup instead of blood. And it, you know, it's fun in that way. I don't know. I don't think we're ever going to get you on the horror train or anything like that.
I'm
But
just not interested in it.
because I'm not as big into it as I was. I
Yeah.
think if I had gone more towards
if
like,
you really loved it, I
Right.
would give some of those baby ones a try.
but I'm take it or leave it at this point. I'll watch them. I'll watch the new ones. I'll watch some commentary like Meat Canyon. He has a secondary channel where a lot of times he talks about horror movies, and there was another YouTube channel that I used to watch, but I'm not seeking them out.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there you go. So what, you'd go with Great Pumpkin?
I think so. I love Charlie Brown.
I gotta go Nightmare Before Christmas. I mean, that's up in the
It's a
air,
good
whether or
one.
not that's a Halloween or a Christmas movie.
It can be whatever you want it to
For
be.
me, I like it more for Halloween.
He's a
'cause
skeleton. It's Halloween.
I'll say there's better Christmas movies to choose from,
yeah.
but you know I'm a Tim Burton fanboy till the end
Oh,
of time.
sure. He's great.
I mean, he hasn't made a good movie in like probably 16, 17 years now, but I still rock with him.
I mean, neither has Alfred Hitchcock.
Well, he's dead.
So,
Tim Burton is still actively making films,
yeah, but I mean,
and he's had some bad ones, man.
that's okay. We can just ignore that.
Alice in Wonderland.
I don't
I'm
know.
pretty sure you walked out of that.
No, we watched it in the theater, like all
Yeah.
of our friends in high school, and something happened where I just didn't feel good.
Oh,
so I didn't like
Yeah.
take it in.
Well, it's bad. It's not good.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fine. And if
it-
you like Tim Burton,
I
like I like the
remember-
visuals.
I remember it being such a weird movie that I was like,
Am I
Do
high?
I feel ill, or is this movie just so strange that it's making me feel weird?
Sometimes,
but then I still felt weird for several hours afterwards.
The visuals in that movie very much could make you motion sick.
And we were very close to the screen.
Yeah. I remember.
So I was like, am I dizzy from the movie,
and
or
then he made,
am I coming down with something?
He made a remake of, not What We Do in the Shadows, but something very similar where it's like a family of vampires. And it's just like, dude, you can't recapture the Edward Scissorhands magic or the Nightmare Before Christmas or whatever.
That was magic, though.
Man, Edward Scissorhands is underrated.
It's a great movie. We rewatched that.
Recently. Oh man, I love that movie,
and it was very good.
I love that movie. I can't get over it. It's got a great cast. He's got scissors for hands. What else do you need?
This is unbelievable.
All right, I want to talk to you. We're going to do a couple of fitness things here. It's a fitness podcast, but I wanted to start the conversation with the therapeutic effects of the gym.
Okay.
Because a lot of people will say, "Oh, the gym is my therapy." Mm-hmm. Pump the brakes.
Okay.
I do want to say that more and more each year, more people are doing mental health studies, like the effect of the gym on mental health. So we are getting a clearer picture. Mm-hmm. It is clear that regular physical activity, specifically going to the gym, structured physical activity, I'll say, not just like going for a walk, although going for walks also. So I guess you could just say physical activity has marked effects on the improvement of mental health and the decrease in symptoms of anxiety and depression. Like, this is every single iteration of study and paper continues to support those claims. Mm-hmm. So in a way, these people that say the gym is my therapy, maybe not entirely wrong. Mm-hmm. I think it's safer and it's more accurate to say the gym can be a therapeutic activity. Mm-hmm. But if you are truly struggling with clinical depression, clinical anxiety, BPD, whatever, it can't be your therapy. You also need clinical,
Yeah. I think that the pursuit of mental health is always should be like a multifaceted approach, 100%. Right? The gym is good for you.
100%.
Taking time off from work is good for you. Going to therapy can be good for you. Like, there's a lot of things that you can do to support good mental health or improved mental health. I think the gym is certainly one of those things.
Absolutely.
I mean, without a doubt.
I think it's close to the top of the list.
Absolutely.
I'm biased, but I really look at my story. Mm-hmm. Top two things of the gym and recommitting to my faith. Top two things that pulled me out of my depression and my and I'm not saying just go to the gym or because obviously I am a special case with my addiction. I didn't have to go through a 12-step process. I didn't have to go to traditional talk therapy. For whatever reason, the mental circuitry in my brain allowed me to experience positive change just based on forward activity in the gym and recommitting to emotional relationships and my faith. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying pray it away, whatever. I'm saying for me, this is what worked.
Yeah.
So in my mind and in a lot of examples that I have experienced through my clients, it has been one of, if not the most impactful physical activities outside of a therapeutic setting.
Yeah.
How much more diplomatic can I be? I mean, talking about mental health is basically like talking on the third rail.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many different viewpoints and perspectives, and there's so many, even within the school of psychology. Mm-hmm. But I did want to talk about it because I've been seeing a lot of people say, oh, the gym is my therapy on Instagram or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I've even seen some reels that say, forget traditional medication, just go to the gym.
And I think that's a pretty hot take.
Well, because they're reading some of these studies. Yeah. And the big one that everybody always cites, I think it was 2018 or 2019, from an Australian lab or maybe an Austrian lab. I cannot remember. Mm-hmm. You can look it up on Google Scholar, type in exercise versus traditional anxiety medication. I promise you it'll come up. I think it's public access too, so you can read the whole thing. But this paper showed through a study, they had a control group. They had they had 4 groups, I think. Double-blind control, where they're not getting any intervention. They're just living their life. Mm-hmm. Exercise only. exercise and medication, and then medication only.
Okay.
For anxiety symptoms, I believe. Now, I'm fast and loose here. Read the full paper. That's my disclaimer. But what it found was that exercise only outperformed medication, and exercise and medication by another 5%.
Was the top. Yeah.
But so people have taken that, and as we like to do on social media, because it is not a place of nuance, especially TikTok and Instagram, not only is it taken out of context, but it's without even reading the study. They read the headline and they say, throw your anxiety medication in the river. Just exercise and you'll be totally fine. Yeah. This is dangerous and disingenuous because everyone is an individual. It comes back to what we always say. And your therapy and your treatment plan that you've come up with your psychiatrist should not be overwritten by one study, God forbid, by one 22-year-old on TikTok telling you, hey, you just need to exercise. But some people see that and say, oh, well, throw my anxiety medication
Flush them down the toilet. Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, I think there are many tools that you can use, when you're working on your mental health. And I think that medication is one of those that is incredibly effective for a lot of people. Adding exercise to what you're already doing can only benefit you, really.
So here's the thing that I'll say. I would love to live in a world where maybe we are less reliant on pharmacology.
Sure.
Because in my mind, you're never going to get just the outcome that you want. You're also going to get side effects with anything that you're putting in your body. I'm a big fan of Ozempic for overweight and obese people. But at the same time, would I like for them to first and foremost approach it with a behavioral change? Absolutely. Because behavioral change, diet and exercise, is the only intervention that does not carry with it possible side effects. In the same way, anxiety medication, depression medication can be pretty detrimental in terms of the side effects that it carries along with it.
Right.
But exercise does not have the same risk factors in terms of side effects.
Yeah.
So yes, if you could say to me, would you rather everybody experience the same change on exercise versus medication? Absolutely. But that's not the utopia that we live in.
Right.
Sometimes you do need chemical intervention.
And I think that it's so wonderful that we have those tools available. I mean, I think that's fantastic. I think they do have side effects. I think that's something that, any good psychiatrist is going to talk to you about, as you think about going on medication. I think that you should always ask about potential side effects and keep an eye out for them.
For sure.
But I think that, combining exercise with a medication regimen, if that's what your doctor recommends for you, is really important.
I don't have any experience in this, but it seems to me that once you get on these medications, you're on them for life.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't know if that's true.
We've been fortunate enough with our mental health that neither of us have had to be prescribed any type of anxiety or depression medication. Yeah. We've both experienced bouts.
Yeah. I almost went on them at one point, actually. Yeah.
And I'll say I've never been to talk therapy. You have.
Yeah.
Again,
Loved it.
Right. I don't have any disparaging words for therapy, but I do, and this could be my own personal bias, I think you would want to get to a place where you don't need the medication anymore, if possible. Like, I would hope that is part of the treatment plan. This is the problem that I see, to take it back to the fat loss medications that are all the rage right now, is it doesn't seem like there's any discussion about end of treatment.
Yeah.
It seems to me, and this is where the big pharma people, this is how they base their argument, is that they're just creating these perpetual cycles to keep you dependent on the drugs so that you have to keep paying for the drugs.
Yeah. I think that's actually a really interesting point. It's, which conditions are chronic and indefinite and which are not. And what camp do, different conditions fall into. I mean, like, if you're hypertensive, that might be a forever thing. Yeah. You might be on blood pressure medication.
But at the same time, maybe not. I know a lot of people who have through diet and exercise intervention come off of the blood pressure medication.
Right. But, if you don't change your body composition, that will be a chronic, indefinite condition.
I just think that it's really hard when you have a relationship with a doctor for me, and this is my anti-establishment bias coming in, to trust.
Don't go to the doctor.
Well, to trust that they have your best interest at heart. Because where is their bread being buttered?
Yeah, that's a
a lot
point.
of the times, a lot of these places are getting kickbacks from prescription drug companies for prescribing X amount of drugs. Like, look at the opioid crisis. That was what that was. Hey, prescribe a lot of this. We'll give you a little bit of a nice bonus.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's obviously my bias. I don't love the doctor. I don't, I want to be in charge of my health at the end of the day. But I do also see the value in medication. I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I'm not an anti-medication guy. I think all of these things have their place. But I do think that a treatment plan of any kind should move you towards, hopefully, getting off of the medication.
Yeah, I think that's always a question to have is there anything I can be doing to reduce my reliance on medication? And if I end up needing it indefinitely,
that's fine.
That's not a problem. But is there anything I can do to improve my health?
Say you break your leg and the goal is not to keep the cast on for the rest of your life.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, why do we treat mental health and mental diseases differently than we treat physical diseases?
Yeah. I don't know. That's a great question.
I just don't understand what the deal is with that. And I don't have I was a psychology minor. I took a couple psych classes.
Yeah.
I don't have a background in knowledge. This is a very nuanced topic, but it's something that really interests me. I think about it a lot. It seems that, okay, you have, pneumonia. We're going to work through medication to get you back to a position where you no longer need the medication. Why then, if you come in and say, oh, I have anxiety, would you not work towards getting off of the medication and living anxiety-free if possible?
Yeah.
Obviously, maybe it's not possible.
Right.
Maybe the wiring in your brain or the chemicals in your brain do not allow you to live that way.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
But I would think that you'd want it. I don't know. Maybe I'm biased in that.
I don't know. Well, and I'm kind of thinking about it as like pneumonia is something that oftentimes can be cured in a matter of weeks or maybe months at the longest.
Maybe they're not one-to-one comparisons. That's a great point. Pneumonia and anxiety, probably not the best.
Well, and I'm thinking,
what about diabetes?
I don't think diabetes can really be cured unless you're 700 pounds and you've come down to 200 pounds. In that case, maybe you're not diabetic anymore.
Right.
That's an extreme example.
Right.
But yeah, I think that probably mental health is something that takes a lot more time to figure out, right? A lot of self-discovery.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of really
That's
deep
a good point.
evaluation of the different aspects of your life and how you tend to respond to those things. I think that that's the value of talk therapy for a lot of people.
Right.
And I think that is very difficult. I don't think there's anything harder than introspection.
I agree.
I really think that is one of the hardest things, self-reflection.
I'm with you. I think
and
that's
so I think
great
that
point.
might be why it seems like it's just medication forever, when really it's just a long-term process.
Right. That's
healing.
A great point. So you're on the medication.
And it
as you
seems
continue,
like forever.
but you need the medication to function in day-to-day life.
Yeah.
And as you continue your process of introspection with a therapist, hopefully.
Yeah. And what a wonderful thing that we can have these medications that allow you the space to work on those things.
And to be able to live day-to-day life.
Beautiful.
True. Yeah.
I think that's amazing.
I agree. I just think I would like to see, with the continued progress in the scientific research in this area, and realizing that exercise does have this power chemically as well. It's not just like go in and you feel better because you've done something. No, it's actively working chemically in your brain.
Yeah, the
to reduce
neurotransmitters
reduce some of these symptoms of anxiety and depression.
Yeah.
So can we get to a point where maybe prescribing exercise the same way that you prescribe medication?
I was just going to say, wouldn't it be interesting if people could start to think of exercise as medicine?
Right. I think it is. I
think
really
it is too.
do.
Yeah, it's like my anxiety medicine, my blood pressure medicine
is exercise.
My whatever is exercise.
Right.
In addition to my actual bottle of pills that I have, which is great and helpful.
Yeah.
But, what if we could think of exercise not as something like, oh yeah, I really should do that. Wouldn't it be so good for me in this abstract way? But no, it's medicine in a way.
Well, it's hard because I think that the way that the chemical medication works is more rapid. You're not going to, I've heard within 1 or 2 doses, you're feeling a lot better. Exercise doesn't work that way.
Right.
I mean, in some cases, acutely, after you walk out of the gym and you say, oh, I've done something physical for the day, maybe for an hour or 2 hours, your mood is elevated. But these long-term changes that we're talking about, it's going to take a lot of time. So, and again, talking from a perspective of like, my job is to try to get people to exercise, it would be incredibly difficult to prescribe people exercise because they just won't do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not to say that clearly people don't exercise, clearly. Mm-hmm. So saying, hey, you've got to exercise to get better, I don't know if that's going to be enough motivation for them to actually put into practice an exercise regimen. Mm-hmm. I, again, am jaded in the fact that 90% of people, now not my online clients, I don't know what it is, but they come to me with a little bit more internal motivation and just kind of want some direction. But I will say 80% of people that walked into the LA Fitness that I work at and signed up for training have already started paying. It was a chore to get them to come into their session. I'm not lying. It was a chore. They were paying a lot of money. So it's not money being the motivator. That was the thought. Oh, if they're paying for it, they're definitely going to motivate. It's not respect for me and my time because they would sign up and then not show up. So what is it?
And pay for the no-show.
And pay for it.
Yeah.
Say, oh, my bad, I slept in. I still got paid for it. Okay, fine. But you're missing out on a session. So clearly there's an issue of motivation that I think we couldn't just say, hey, here's a prescription 4 times a week exercise. I don't think many people would actually do that. Is the thing. So then we get back to the medication. It's easier. Take a pill every single day at this time. You can fit that into your day.
I think something that you're not taking account of, though, is that there are a lot of people who don't even take their medications.
Okay. Yeah, true.
Lack of medication adherence is such a massive problem. I encounter it all the time.
Yes. Okay.
In my patients. I mean, people end up in the hospital with very serious problems.
Yeah, you're right.
Completely avoidable problems. Strokes, heart attacks, just because they I don't think I need that pill.
I guess
I've decided I'm not going to take it
anymore.
In
my mind, the motivational leap from get up off the couch and go to the medicine cabinet and take a pill versus get up off of the couch, drive to X gym, work out, do something difficult for 45 minutes to an hour, drive home, shower, eat.
Much more difficult.
It's much more of a motivational leap in my mind. So if we have people that are already struggling to get up off the couch and take a pill, to then also say, well, no more pills, but you got to get up off the couch and go do XYZ for 2 hours of your day, might be more difficult.
Yes.
From a motivational perspective.
Yes, definitely.
Because all behavior is motivation.
Yeah.
Right? At a certain point, until you have built it into the neural pathways of habits. But to get started, it's I'm motivated to do this thing.
Yeah. There's that whole behavior change, the phases of that. That's something that I want to learn more about and maybe talk about on a future episode.
Yeah.
And maybe it's, the people who are your online clients who are more internally motivated, they might just be on a different phase of that process.
Listen.
It's like maybe people are signing up for the personal training at LA Fitness before they're really at a point in that behavior change process where it's going to stick.
And I don't want what I said about those people to come off as disparaging to them.
Right.
Because again, their life, we're told we're really good in this country of you need to exercise. Everybody knows that. Yeah. It's not a lack of information at that point.
Right.
So they're told, I need to exercise. In their mind, they sign up for the personal training.
I'll pay for it. It'll force me to do it. They're not ready to do it.
Exactly. They have not come yet to the decision-making process of this is something I'm willing to commit to when it gets difficult. It's very easy to do it for the first couple of weeks.
It's easy to do it in January and February.
But when you turn around and it's 5 a.m. and you're supposed to be at the gym at 5:30 and it's, 34 degrees outside, it's I'm just going to bed, you have to get to that place where the resistance to the action is not as strong as your motivation to do the action.
And think about all the false starts that you had.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
absolutely.
There were many times.
10, 12 times.
There were many times that you started a workout journey, a fitness journey, and you weren't at a point where it ended up sticking.
Right.
I think that's something that everybody can experience. But yeah, I think we maybe need to look at that kind of continuum of behavior change, like the pre-contemplation.
Yeah, well, we had in my personal training course, one of the most impactful things was a chapter on that.
Yeah.
And how to approach discussions around fitness or coaching with people in different phases. And I read something really interesting. It was a thread or a tweet or something from one of the coaches that I follow. And it took me 10 years to realize that me selling my coaching services is not a one-time interaction. Every interaction that you have with someone as a personal trainer or as a coach is planting seeds towards that eventual change. So something that I've been working on is I can feel like a failure for a lot of these people that come in, I coach them for maybe 3 months and they quit. Oh my God, what did I do wrong? Well, okay, you can introspect and say, maybe I didn't approach this way or that way, but also understand that it's a two-person relationship. They may have not been in a place emotionally, spiritually, physically to make that change yet. But 2 years down the road,
I was just going to say, they might be ready.
My voice may be in their head that says, hey, you can do this. Because I always try and come at it from a positive perspective.
And then they'll call you.
And then me or somebody else.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
But everything we do as fitness professionals, if you're doing it the right way, is planting seeds towards change. So it may not be that you make the sale that day, but 6 months down the road, 8 months down the road, and you may not make the sale. Somebody else may make the sale, but it was you that got the ball rolling for them to start pre-contemplating, contemplating, decision-making. Right? So, I don't know. To wrap it up, I think that in the next couple of years, we're going to start to see, hopefully, a move towards exercise and medication as a way to, because it really is pretty encouraging, some of this research.
It's always really exciting when there's a lot of research pointing all in the same direction.
And all of it is.
Right, because especially with fitness and nutrition, where you're a little bit ethically limited in the types of studies you can do.
And there's a lot of different camps.
Right. They're not the highest quality studies all of the time. But if all of these studies are pointing, every single one is pointing in the same direction, that in itself is really powerful evidence.
Right.
And so that's really exciting to have, be able to start to form such a strong consensus on that topic.
Well, my hope with the medical field in any way, physical and mental health, is to, I think doctors should be required to be healthy. Like it may be, obviously I love freedom and you can live your life however you want to, but the reason why I have such a deep distrust of doctors is every doctor I've gone to has been 100 pounds overweight or smoking in the back of the clinic. So, Yeah,
I do know.
You work with them.
I do.
You see them.
I do.
There should be this certain level. It's this meme online with all the health ministers and they're all 500 pounds.
It's very hard to trust the advice that somebody's giving you when they're not taking it themselves.
And this is why I have such an issue with my personal training sometimes, because I am classified as overweight. So if you just saw me on the street, you wouldn't imagine, oh my God, this guy knows what he's talking about. But because my sport dictates my size and everything like that, that's how so I'm not saying you got to be a bikini model.
No, but
I'm saying that you should have some type of understanding of the fundamental power of resistance training and a good diet. That's it. And I think a lot of our medical doctors, maybe not a lot, maybe a couple. I've had a couple bad ones.
I've had some really great ones, actually.
They may be coming at it from a perspective of medication is the only thing that's going to work. I won't even talk to them about what their diet is or anything like that.
Or it's also visits are short.
That's another thing.
Visits are short.
They don't have time to get into all the nuance. So it's easier to just say, here's a prescription, get out of my office. I got to go to the 12th person that I got to see today. And they're probably burnt out and they're probably really tired. I'm not attacking doctors here. It's a very multifactorial situation.
Yeah.
But I do think maybe it needs to be more of a public health mission as opposed to individual doctors taking it upon themselves. There needs to be more of a national, and God, I hate the national government, but I mean, maybe there needs to be more of a national push towards exercise.
Yeah.
But they've been doing that.
They have been. Yeah. You remember like the NFL Play 60 when we were
We've
younger?
had a bunch of different, I don't know.
Yeah. There's a lot of initiatives. And you never know what's going to stick for what person. I'm sure that every initiative has impacted at least a couple people.
Right.
But
you'd hope.
Yeah. It's hard to know what kind of initiative would work for.
This is it's my life's mission to show people how powerful exercise is. And I think about it all the time.
I think it's a very valiant mission and a difficult one. But
it's hard.
It's a difficult one.
It's hard to convince people.
It is.
And everybody has different motivation pushes and pulls.
Right. I was just going to say, everybody would have a different reason that they would want to get started. Everybody's going to respond to what you have to say in a different way.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a one size fits all way to encourage fitness.
No chance.
But I think that maybe knowing that exercise has a positive effect on mental health might be another angle you can approach it from. It's like, you're
that's
maybe
why it's encouraging to me.
Right. Talking to a client and they're telling you about all of these like difficult things going on. And it's like, well, you know what you're doing by showing up here in the gym today is really going to help with that.
Yeah. And it's a way to move general fitness away from just weight loss, which I think can be pretty dangerous. Mm-hmm. It's another way to say exercise can have so many positive benefits, and you can start to judge it based on your mental health improvements rather than the scale, which I think can have a negative mental health perspective all on its own.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think it's also, the feeling of accomplishment of I showed up in the gym and I did this and I'm working really hard on, my fitness and how it's impacting my mental health. It just, I don't know. I feel like it gives you some, I don't know how to say it, but it's like you feel like you're in control.
Yeah, it gives you some control of an activity in your life.
Because I don't know, when I've struggled with my mental health in the past, it's the times when I feel like everything's going insane and I can't control any of it.
Yeah.
So like having your fitness plan and your exercise plan is something that you're in control of that is going to help.
Yeah.
That is
powerful.
Just that feeling is so helpful.
And I agree with you.
Like outside of the fitness benefit, just that feeling of having something in your control that's going to help you is wonderful.
And a lot of the times that's where a lot of eating disorders come from is that's the one thing that you can control is your consumption of food.
I know.
And it goes to a negative perspective rather than going to a positive perspective. Where I think it is possible to say you can still have control over this area of your life. If everything else is going crazy, you still have this hour of the day in which you go into the gym, in which you put forth good effort. You work towards a specific goal, that can be really powerful. And I've seen that work for 10 people that I've coached. And I've seen it work for myself. And I hope to see it work for way more as I continue to build the business.
Yeah.
But that's why when I first started marketing, I was always marketing towards physical improvement. And I think we're moving more towards a way to market fitness services in a way that is more holistic.
Yeah.
And overall more beneficial to people. The physical is great. Don't get me wrong. If you're a bodybuilder and you want to come to me and or if you're a powerlifter, etc., I love doing that as well. But I'm always going to weave in some of the mental benefits. And I think you could ask any of my clients right now, what I harp on the most is usually exercise, life balance, the mental side of training, all of these things, because I think that creates a more sustainable environment to continue to make improvement.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there you go. There's our unqualified mental health discussion, but I think we were nuanced enough. Again, we're not experts.
No.
I defer to the experts in a lot of ways, but I do think from my own anecdotal experience, that's what I'm seeing. The gym can't be your therapy by itself. I'll just say that.
But it's an important part.
Great therapeutic activity.
Yeah.
There you go.
I like that.
Okay, just a quick little nutrition question that I wanted to talk to.
Okay.
What's the purpose of eating at maintenance calories after cutting? If you wanted to do a bulk after cutting, why couldn't you just add 700 to 800 calories to whatever calories you were eating at the end of your cut? So this is a really interesting topic. And I think to begin, you can just go right into a bulk. There's nothing that says that you can't.
Yeah.
But there are ways to set yourself up for a more successful bulking phase.
Okay.
And to define those, first of all, we want to say a successful bulk is one in which you gain as much lean tissue as possible, muscle, and as the smallest amount of fat possible. That is a successful bulk. So, of course, you could go straight from a cut to a bulk in which you added 800 to 1,000 calories, which would, you'd gain tissue for sure. What happens is after a calorie deficit, a nutrition deficit, your body is very primed to regain a lot of what you've just lost. Okay. Because it wants to get back to homeostasis.
Right.
So if you're at homeostasis at 270 pounds for 3 years, your body's used to that. And then you go in a calorie deficit and you get down to 250, but you're not as muscular as you want to be. So you say, okay, I'm going to do a bulk now. I'm going to eat in a calorie surplus. More so than not, you're going to regain a lot of that fat mass rather than muscularity. You're also going to gain muscle, but it's probably going to be half and half.
Okay. Because your body's not used to the new weight set point yet.
And also, just from a numbers perspective, your maintenance calories have changed at 250 pounds than what they were at 270 pounds. So you may think, okay, my maintenance, you may still be running off of your maintenance calories at 270 pounds. So then your surplus is way too big. You know what I mean? Because you're going off of the maintenance calories.
I never had thought about that.
You're still thinking, okay, at 270.
The 270 maintenance.
I was eating 3,500 calories. So if I want to gain weight, I'm going to need to eat 4,500 calories.
When really now 3,500 might be a little bit of a surplus.
A surplus already. Right? So you may be way overshooting, and that is, again, going to put way more fat on you than you want.
Interesting.
So that's the reason. That's the specific reason why a lot of smart people in the industry will preach maintenance phases, specifically after calorie deficits.
For how long?
The going recommendation is half the time that the deficit was. So if you did a calorie deficit for 12 weeks, you're going to want to do a maintenance phase for 6 weeks before you do your next phase of nutrition. And this could be another cut, this could be another deficit, or you could go on to bulk, or you could extend maintenance out.
Interesting.
But it gives you time to, another thing too, psychologically, after a cut, you are so much more primed for binges, so much more primed to reach for hyper-palatable foods because you've deprived yourself of these things in a successful cut. Yeah. So again, that can start to tilt you into too rapid weight gain, which usually indicates fat gain rather than muscle gain. So that's a psychological reason. It's just good from a physical perspective. It lets your body reassess what maintenance is. It lets you understand these are my new maintenance calories at 250. Mentally, psychologically, it lets you cool down from a period of extreme or semi-extreme dieting and allows you to kind of approach what your next phase of training is from a more rational perspective. The last 2 weeks of dieting, if you're doing a diet correctly, you're not going to be rational. You're not going to be rational.
Yeah, they're so hard.
So to say, okay, I'm going to be able to contain myself when I get on my bulk, baloney. Absolute garbage. You are going to say, I'm bulking, and you're going to reach for the Krispy Kreme.
Yeah.
100%. Maybe 2 or 3 people in the world will be able to, but your body is chemically trying to get you to gain weight again. So good luck working against that.
Yeah.
You think you're more powerful than your neurotransmitters? Probably not.
Only our favorite guy, David Goggins, could do that.
I mean,
we talk about him a lot.
Well, he's kind
of. We should have him on the podcast.
Oh, man. He's the paragon to me of like irrational self-control.
Yeah. Like to the extreme.
In some cases, I think probably detrimental. I mean, he was running on stress fractures and just continued to break his legs. Yeah. I would not recommend to do that to anybody. That's his life. He can do whatever he wants to do. But that's why I always say him, because he's done a lot of...
It's the most extreme example of self-discipline, which good for him.
But I think for the general population, this is our problem. And this is a bigger discussion. Maybe we'll talk more about this in another episode. But we put so much stock as a society in willpower and in discipline, which is great. I agree. I think willpower and discipline are very important. But the problem is we don't understand how difficult that is to just lean on willpower and discipline. To just say, no, I can buy the donuts and leave them in the house. And I know
eat one a day.
I know I'll be able to control myself. No. Leverage the willpower when you are at your strongest, when you're full, when you're satiated. Go to the grocery store and don't buy the donuts. Because at 8 p.m., 9 p.m., when you're watching TV, those donuts are going to be screaming at you from the pantry. It happens.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that you're weak or that you're any less of a human being.
No, it just means you're a human being.
It means that the systems in place in your brain and in your stomach are working. Because at the end of the day, your body is always trying to gain weight. Because we, for a long time, lived in an environment in which food was scarce. We no longer live in those environments. So now it's easier for us to, these systems are in place to keep us alive.
Right.
But we are abusing these systems because of the food production that we now find ourselves in, the environment in which we now find ourselves.
Yeah, those systems just don't really apply to the modern grocery store.
No, they do not. Absolutely not. So don't, and that's how powerful maintenance can be. Because when you get on a maintenance phase, now, of course, you can eat a little bit more.
Yeah.
So you're not feeling that same level of, oh my God, I'm going to die if I don't eat this specific thing. You can approach some of your cravings. You can have some of the food that you were craving on the diet. In a maintenance phase, you're probably going to gain 3 to 5 pounds. That's totally fine. A lot of that's going to be water. Your muscles are going to be replenishing with glycogen. You're going to be filling out a little bit more. And then you can make an assessment on what's my next phase of nutrition. I really think maintenance phases are one of the things that we get wrong when it comes to weight loss from a general perspective, from a lifestyle, but also from a bodybuilding or powerlifting perspective. If more people were willing to approach maintenance with the same intensity and effort that they approach their dieting phases, you'd see a lot more long-term weight loss success.
I think you're right.
Because right now we've got a huge yo-yo dieting problem where it's like, I'm done with my diet. Holy cow, let's get ribs. Let's go absolutely crazy. That's what I do.
Yeah.
And I'm still working on maintenance. Maintenance is a long-term, lifelong process. So that is why we go on maintenance phases rather than just go straight into a bulk.
Yeah.
Again, you're an individual. You can do whatever you want to do. But the general recommendation from bodybuilding coaches, from nutritionists, from people a lot smarter than me, go on a maintenance phase, allow your body to cool down, for lack of a better word.
Rest, reset. And
then go for your next phase.
Very interesting. I never knew that was a thing.
Absolutely.
I've not done the bulking and cutting.
Yeah, right. Well, not a lot of people have. Because in the lifestyle, we just talk about dieting. We don't really talk about weight gain.
No.
Because the national problem, in America at least, is weight loss. So
yeah.
I don't know. I want to have a podcast talking about not being afraid to gain some weight. Because I think
I would love to talk about that.
I think that's a perspective that we don't really hear a lot about.
Well, I've been there.
So we'll stick around. We'll probably talk about that in another episode.
Yeah, it's a great topic.
You got anything else you want to tell the people?
I don't think so. It's cooling off. Wear your favorite sweater.
Thank God. Yeah, I mean, hopefully you live in a place that's cooling off. It's been beautiful these past couple of weeks.
Really nice.
Going into work at 45 degrees, I'm just like, my mood is just so improved.
Yeah, so enjoy it. Enjoy the beautiful time of year.
True. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoy the podcast, please share it with people. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, join our Discord.
Yeah.
I'm mining a lot of video ideas from the Discord. So if you want to be a part of future videos, if you want to just come in and chat, we have a form check channel. We have a program check channel. Please come in, be a part of a great community.
Hang out,
meet some new people.
Yeah.
Follow us both on Instagram. Sarah's not very active anymore, but she will be.
Maybe.
We'll see you next week. Possibly. This might be the last episode.
You never know.
You never know. All right. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.